on in the Premier League. I do want to know what you guys think about the transfer window currently in the Premier League. I do think there's been a lot of moving pieces. We are going to be pulling up the news feed and seeing exactly what's going on because it's always curious to see what teams are going to be buying players for the most part. Now, granted, it's the middle of the night. There's not like there's going to be brand new signings anytime happening while we do this live here. I'm curious what you guys think because I do think there's been some huge signs, obviously, this transfer window, and there's still a lot more to come. And Chelsea obviously have gone out and did a bunch of selling today. I mean, we've seen Dewsbury Hall, we've seen Ukucheku, and Leslie also go, and Chukwuemeka, that's who it was, all leave today. Bayfal Bay, Burnley, and Everton. So again, some big selling points for Chelsea. I do want to know what you guys think, though. Do you think Chelsea have been doing the best? You think Verts is going to flop? And Newcastle, I do not understand what's been going on with their transfer window because it's been an absolute disaster for Newcastle. I mean, going into this window, I thought Newcastle was going to have a just phenomenal summer transfer window. They start with Alonga like pretty early in the window, and then all of a sudden they've done almost absolutely nothing besides getting Ramsdale. And from what I've been told, now it looks like Dubravka is going to Burnley, so it looks like Ramsdale is going to be a backup, second string to Nick Pope, but both those guys could actually start with each other. And I'm not too sure why they went with him, but at the same time, Ramsdale's not a bad goalkeeper. Cook on, yeah, exactly. So I'm curious what Newcastle plan on doing for the rest of the transfer window. Obviously, Isak is still up in the air. What's going to be happening with him? I think there were some rumors that he came in today with an injury, went to the locker room or therapy, was there for a few hours, and then just completely left. So, I mean, I'm not too sure if that means that he is on his way out to Liverpool, but I don't see how Newcastle can let him go, despite the fact for I mean how much they're going to get for him. It's a ridiculous amount for Isak. If you think Newcastle's bad, look at Villa. I mean, the thing with Villa though is they at least have players that are already solid in almost every position. It's not like they have to go crazy and buy a bunch of players. I mean, if you look at Liverpool last year, maybe 2 years ago, they only bought in one or two players. And I mean, their squad wasn't ready where it needed to be. And I think Aston Villa is at the same point. I think they're pretty good midfield wise. I mean, obviously, they do still need a few other players to come in and just help them drive. But I think Morgan Rogers is a phenomenal player. Ollie Watkins, obviously a great striker. Tielemans did phenomenal in the midfield. McGinn, I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is out on the wing. Their defense is pretty good. The only thing is, I mean, goalkeeper wise for Aston Villa, because I believe Emi Martinez, Villa need a striker, CB, and right back. I mean, again, Ollie Watkins, I think, is their main striker. But again, I'm not saying they don't need more players, but they do have players already in almost every position. Your thoughts on Garnacho being linked to Chelsea? I think Garnacho is a good signing. Why do Americans say outside back? Um, it's a good question. Why do we say outside back? It's for me, it's weird to say fullback and halfback, unless if that's the terms you're using. I mean, center back, again, it's growing up. That's the term we always use for outside back. And it just, you think about your outside and they're there for the most part. But I do understand that does let me know that I'm an American. More like, what's and a long term goalkeeper replacement. Yeah, exactly. But Garnacho going to Chelsea, I do think it's a good signing actually because not that he's been letting up the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. He's had these like little glimmer of hopes where it does look really good. And yes, there are major issues with Garnacho. He's a man that puts his head down and just starts dribbling. Doesn't look exactly what's going on. Are you calling Verts a flop? I'm just asking people think Verts is going to be a flop. I don't think he's going to be, but for his price tag, there's going to be a high demands for this player, and I could see him struggling in his first season in the Premier League. And obviously at Liverpool, they do have, I mean, a lot of expectations. They just won the Premier League. They should have probably went further in the Champions League, despite the fact that they played PSG. So bringing in Verts, you're thinking then that they now should push into possibly the semifinals, if not the finals. They obviously should be in the lead for winning the Premier League, going back to back. And therefore, again, if you don't think Verts can do all that, people are going to think he's a flop. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. I think he's still going to be worth the amount of money they pay for him in a long span. I think the first season might be difficult because a lot of times it does take some players to develop into the Premier League, especially from the Bundesliga. Now, that's not going to say not every player hasn't taken long. You look at Holland and how quickly he adapted at City, and you look at a few of the other German players or players that came from the Bundesliga into the Premier League and done quite well. So that's why I'm putting him there. He looks great already. Yeah, I didn't see the whole match today for Liverpool. Obviously, they were just flying high in that preseason match. And I mean, Darwin Nunez, I actually thought looked really good and looked completely as a different player, not just the fact he had his haircut and everything, but he looked a lot better. Now, I don't think he's trying to stay in Liverpool. Obviously, it looks like he's on his way out. But when you look at it, Darwin Nunez still makes sense to have as a rotational depth player. Now, like I said, he does miss his sitters. He does have some issues. But if you think about what Darwin Nunez brings to the table and what he can actually do, he's still a pretty good player. I mean, the fact that he's really pacey, he still gets into the right position. Now, if he's scoring those chances, that makes a huge difference. But he's still getting those positions where he's receiving the ball inside the box. And maybe this is the year he can finally convert that back to where it should be. Don't read too much in the preseason. Man United actually won a few games. I mean, yeah. Welcome back, FCM. I'm always in the boat of saying that preseason doesn't give you the full gist of what exactly is going on for a club because, yes, they obviously won a few games here, and the other team themselves, you never know what they're trying to do. And they're not going 100%. I mean, you could say some players are. I mean, I'm thinking about Romero and Guimaraes in the Tottenham Newcastle match, right? Yeah. And those guys won that a little bit. But like I said, most of the time preseason, you're not going to get the full effect here. Badge, Chelsea, if that's what you're talking about. Liverpool. I'm not sure you mean Liverpool here. And again, people jumping in. I'm not saying he is a flop. I'm just curious what people think about Verts being how expensive he was coming in. I mean, you think about all the players that come in for that much money, you're expecting so much. And like I said, there can be high demands for the player itself. And sometimes that can get inside the player's head, and it may take him longer to develop what he wants to. But again, he's 22, 23. He obviously is going to keep growing as a player and in this Liverpool squad. What states you're from? I'm from the East Coast. I mean, I bounce around for the most part. Newcastle should stay from Isak. I don't think they want another Trent situation. I mean, the thing with Newcastle is that think about how there's a week and a half left before the season kicks off. They don't have enough time now to go out and find another striker to fit into the system right off the bat. And they got rid of Colin Wilson, which again makes sense. He's getting older, injury prone for the most part. But now, if you're going to get rid of Isak as well, it does make it very difficult for Newcastle to really then jump on any type of striker that's available. And that even being said, there's not that many strikers available because most of the clubs are going to be asking for X amount of money. And therefore, again, Newcastle are going to have to overpay for a player with that Sesko, who doesn't seem like he wants to go to Newcastle. And they're going to be really struggling then. Newcastle might get Sesko. They bid around 90. Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, Sesko is not worth 90 million, in my opinion. 80, maybe 80, but 90 million. Think about how many players have gone for 90 million. And you think Sesko should go for 90 million is just mind-boggling how the transfer window has been completely blown out of proportion through the years because yes, he's a good player and has done well at RB Leipzig, but he's not worth 90 million. Like Aiden Hazard, despite the fact that he did not do well at Real Madrid, went for roughly 100 million. And Aiden Hazard was electric in the Premier League, and he went for 100 million. Sesko is going to go for 90 million, and we have no idea what to expect from him. Do I think he's going to still score goals? Yes, but I don't think he's going to be able to do what he did at RB Leipzig because there's other players in that team that are making him better, and I don't know if he will fit into Eddie Howe's system as well because RB Leipzig is a free-flowing team for the most part, whereas Newcastle, not that they can't be free-flowing, but they're very cohesive of how they move as a unit. And it's partly just be how RB Leipzig plays. It's not just from the time and time again. You've seen like Timo Werner play really well there with the pace that he has, and other players that have played at that club. Chelsea worry me. I reckon seventh place is imminent. I mean, I'm in the delusional camp of thinking Chelsea are going to win the Premier League this season. I think they have the capability of doing it, especially with the selling of what we've done recently. Today, we sold 3 more players. We're making room in that midfield. I think it pretty much means that Xavi Simons has to be coming to Chelsea, but it could mean that also Garnacho is coming. So again, it could be both, it could be one. I hope obviously Xavi Simons is the guy over Garnacho, but Garnacho would still make sense to come to Chelsea. I'm up 3 a.m. right now in the UK on the way to the airport for East Coast road trip from New York to Florida. Are you going to some preseason matches? or are you just doing something for holiday to come to the East Coast? Even versus so-called flops, he'll still be better than Cole Palmer. He's that good. I don't know if he's that good. Is he better than Cole Palmer? I mean, Cole Palmer's already done pretty much everything. And yes, you could argue that some of that time was from that city, but if you look at Cole Palmer, his trophy cabinet, he's almost won everything already, despite the fact that he's in his early 20s. Verts has won a few things, but hasn't won too much. Cole Palmer is a guy that shows up in finals time and time again. He's a great player and he's just getting better and better. Like I have a draft coming up with some of my buddies and we do it where you can only have one player. I'm not sure the right terminology to say this. So if I pick Cole Palmer, no one else in the league can have Cole Palmer. I'm in the second spot for our draft. There's 8 guys. Cole Palmer's definitely like the guy I'm taking, like hands down, not even thinking about it. Now, if Mohamed Salah is not taken, I will take him over Cole Palmer just because in fantasy league, Mohamed Salah does amazing. But the guy that's in front of me, he's a huge Mohamed Salah fan. So again, he's gonna be taken. Cole Palmer is number 2 then. We are going to do a live draft when that comes through. So you guys can actually help me pick guys. When that comes, that is next Wednesday at like 9:30. I will try to have it so you guys can see my screen or at least let you know what's going on because that way, like I said, I do need some help on picking the players, but Cole Palmer's gonna be the first off the bat. So I was too old to be honest. I'm expecting him to fall off like Sun did. I mean, that could be possible, but the thing is that I mean, Mohamed Salah is just a freak when it comes to his endurance, his capabilities of being just a strong player. Like we haven't seen him slow down at all. And it could obviously happen, but I don't think it's going to happen this season. I think it could happen the next couple seasons, but it just not seem like it's going to happen. And you got to go off the history of what Mohamed Salah has done in the Premier League and in fantasy. He's been the top Premier League or fantasy player for I think the last half of a decade, which is ridiculous. He was awful in FPL last year. Mohamed Salah was bad in FPL last year? How? Finished the season never in the lineup. Unless you mean a different player. Maybe I missed. We were talking about R1.0. You would be happy if Garnacho came to Chelsea. Like I said, I wouldn't be upset if Garnacho came to Chelsea. I'm not saying you're balling out just shocking if you're comparing Salah to Son. I'm not. But mine's him, Gittins, and Xavi hopefully get here. We go soon. But Garnacho, like I said, I wouldn't be upset with him because I think there is a solid player inside Garnacho because obviously there's a reason why Man United went for him and it just did not work out for him. But even 3 seasons ago, he was kind of doing amazing things out in that left wing, and I think he can still do it. He just needs the confidence to come back for him. Like when a confidence leaves with a player, it makes a huge difference. And therefore, again, I think at Chelsea, being around a lot of other younger guys, I think they can help him out. I think Enzo Maresca is pretty good with the younger players. I know we had Pochettino as our manager 2 seasons ago, and I thought he was good with the younger players, but I think Enzo Maresca is even better. He was able to take all these younger guys, and maybe it's because with Maurizio Pochettino that he was able to help kind of build it, and then Enzo Maresca came in and took off from there. But he easily made this team that much better, all these younger guys. And you have to give credit to Enzo Maresca for doing that, which I don't know if he gets enough credit for, but he was definitely one of the better guys to come in to help Chelsea. Newcastle really should have gone for Delap. He would have been a perfect for them. Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea were perfect on buying Liam Delap so early because had they've waited another week or two or even a month, there were so many other teams, clubs that could have went for Liam Delap, and I think there would have been a massive bidding war for him. Now, do I think he would have went for 50, 60 million? Probably, but I don't think he would have went much higher than that. But he was one of the top prospects, and I don't understand why other clubs weren't going for him because, like, seeing him what he did at Ipswich last season, he was surrounded by average players. Ipswich struggled, and he was one of the shining players last season. And he like really bullied a bunch of CBs. Like he was a guy, especially for how young he is. You wouldn't expect that, but he was doing well for his own. Now he's gonna have other players actually feeding him more balls, and obviously they're gonna have more possession because at Ipswich, it's not like Ipswich was really controlling and dominant possession. It was literally they were trying to defend as much as possible and then just play the ball up to Liam Delap, who did quite well most of the time. Garnacho's brother talks too much online. I guess I haven't followed Garnacho's brother, so I don't fully know exactly what he's been saying. So maybe I should look into that a little bit more here. City's Academy is currently the best in the Prem. Definitely no bias. I mean, if you look at City's Academy, they're mostly all going to Chelsea. I think we now have like 4 or 5 from their academy in the last handful of years, and Cole Palmer obviously being one of the bigger ones from there. But even with Liam Delap, now it's a big one. And then blanking on the other guys from the city are Aiden Hazard or Drogba. I mean, that's not even a question. Aiden Hazard right away. Live, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, top four. I mean, that's not bad. I'm going to say Chelsea's over Liverpool, but I can't. You can't sleep on City. I mean, City have to be doing a lot better this year. I can't see them struggling as much as they did this past season. Lavia, I got to watch Lavia play in the Club World Cup, and it was absolutely phenomenal watching him. I mean, obviously, I've watched him online and watched him on TV, but seeing him in person, he's a ridiculous player. The ball, every time it was played to him, it was like he had glue on his boot. Like the ball just stuck to him. He could have like 2 or 3 guys around him, and he would literally just spin those guys around without like hesitation. And like they tried so hard to take the ball off him, and he just did one little, two little things, got around them, dribble past him, or made some 1-2 passes. Like Lavia, if he can stay fully fit, he would be one of Chelsea's best midfielders. It's a shame that how much of an injury problem he has, though. And I don't know what exactly is going on, whether it's the legs are just aren't really doing it, or maybe they're pushing him back too fast because it's one of those. I mean, obviously players want to play, but it seems like he keeps getting hurt after just having a string of like 1 or 2 games. Because it even happened in the Club World Cup. He played the game I watched him play. And I think he came off injured, or after the match was done, they said he was injured. And I don't know if we saw him after that, and maybe we did see him like 45 more minutes. I love you is great. Imagine having to watch Ugarte week in and week out. I'm assuming you're a United fan, FCM, if I'm not mistaken, if you're saying that, or are you a PSG fan? But yeah, Ugarte, I thought he was going to be a lot better. It just hasn't been working for him. And again, it's one of those things. If it's at United, maybe that is the problem, that players just have not been playing. You are a United fan. Okay. That's why I was assuming that you had to watch him. And Casemiro is still a good player, but obviously he's got there an age now that his legs just don't allow him to do what he used to do. But Ayrton Hog left him hanging dry so many matches where he just assumed Casemiro could just hold the midfield with his old age. And when I say old age, the man is the same age as me. So again, I shouldn't say he's that old. But again, when you have a guy with that age that just can't cover that much field, you're gonna leave yourself to just get absolutely annihilated. And that was one of the problems with Ayrton Hog. How much are you gonna give us for Garnacho? Me personally, I'm gonna give you 0. But Chelsea, I can see them going. The thing is, they have to obviously work on the wages, and Chelsea are not going to break the bank for Garnacho. We haven't broke the bank for any of these players, which is why we're able to constantly keep selling players. It's one of the good things with Chelsea is that they keep buying players and putting them on low wages. Like I'm trying to think, Noni I think was on like 70K a week, which I mean is great money, obviously for anyone else that's not playing football. But for a guy now going to Arsenal, I think he's getting like 150, 200K a week. It's the same thing why Mason Mount left. I mean, I do fault him for a little bit because you should stay kind of loyal to the club that really did bring you up. But when you're going from like 80K a week to about 300K a week, I do see the pull to go to those clubs as well, and that's what's happened. But like I said, Chelsea have been able to buy a bunch of players. So Garnacho, if he doesn't want to bring that salary down, he's not coming to Chelsea. Like that's the big talking point. It's why Jane Sancho didn't sign for Chelsea, because we even offered Sancho a contract. Like Chelsea said, we would want you here, but we're not going to offer you what you're getting offered at United. I think we were going to offer maybe 100K a week, and if I'm not mistaken, and again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I think he makes 350 at United, and that's just sitting on the bench. Like I can't. I mean, I don't blame the guy, but I can see why he didn't want to leave to come to Chelsea and have such a lower contract there. Shesko is not worth 90 million. I agree. I don't think he's worth 90 million at all. Like I said, I think if we're looking and being honest with him, I mean, the problem is after Neymar's huge transfer to PSG, right, is Barcelona, when it was like 200 million, it's just he absolutely ruined the entire like transfer window. Like players now just go for so much. And again, it's I don't fully understand how it works that way because a lot of these players are not worth how much they're spending. But you look at like again, Noni Madueke, who went for 65 million roughly. I don't think he's worth that much either. I think he was only worth 30, but it is what it is. Like Chelsea were able to double their money off him. A great wage structure prevents inflated egos in the dressing room. Yeah, exactly. And that's we had a problem. I mean, Chelsea did have a problem with that about 5 years ago or so. I mean, you think about who we brought in, Koulibaly, which again made sense. He was a phenomenal defender, and we were thinking he's going to be great. Along with him, Raheem Sterling and I think Timo Werner and Kai Havertz were all on high wages as well, but we were able to offload the majority of them. Obviously, we still have Raheem Sterling, but I don't think he's going to be playing much for Chelsea anymore. Maybe he still gets a run at it this year, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen. Evans Garnacho would walk into your team, but into Chelsea's team, I don't know about that. Chelsea should have really gone for Mbomo. He's a million times better than Garnacho. Yeah, the only problem is that he's more of a right winger, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I guess maybe he can play on the left, but I think he was even during the United friendly, he was mostly on the right side. And the only reason why they didn't go for him, and it's because of resale value. If you look at him, he's in his late 20s. Chelsea are not buying older guys really for the most part. Part of that is because they can then still sell that player later on. Now, granted, if the player does really well, they can just upgrade him to a longer contract. That's what they did with Cole Palmer. Nico Jackson's also on a very long contract, and I think they did with Caicedo, if I'm not mistaken. So the problem with Brian Boma, if he was coming in, is like 25. I don't think so. I thought he was older than that. Maybe I'm mixing him up with another player. I thought he was like 29. Am I am I mixing him up with someone? He is. Oh, wait, he's only 25. Okay, I will accept that I was wrong there. We should have probably went for him. And I thought he was a lot older than that. I thought he was like 28, 29. But maybe I'm Oh, maybe I am mixing them up then. Okay, that's probably why. Because I remember just okay, he's 29. That's what it is then. Because I remember just seeing recently about possibly them also selling him. So that's what I was thinking then. Are you saying you think Verts will flop? I'm not saying he will flop. I'm saying for the amount of money spent for him, there's high expectations for him. So I'm curious if people think he will be a flop, even though again he could play pretty good. But when you spend that much money, you're expecting like an all-star type player that is going to just help dominate the pitch. Like you're thinking you're going to get another Mohamed Salah on the left wing when you're spending that much. And therefore, again, that's what I'm thinking for the most part. Like he could be a flop. I don't think so. I think Verts is a phenomenal player. He's probably one of my favorite Bundesliga players currently or was. Obviously, one of my favorite Mannschaft players. So again, I actually really like him. I wish he wasn't playing for Liverpool, but I'm glad he's not at City. That's all I can say because I think City have been just buying so many like ridiculously good players to say the least. But I do want to look if there was any transfer news that I missed today because I know obviously Chelsea sold some stuff here. Mlayson, Sesko, Garnacho, Xavi Simmons. Um, Nothing else it looks like for the most part. But that being said, you keep stealing Newcastle players. I'm not sure exactly. So, do you rate Jamie Gittins? Yes, I think Jamie Gittins is a great, phenomenal left wing. The only issue is I don't know how much he's going to start because if you're looking at Chelsea's squad and who we currently have, he doesn't get over Pedro Neto. I think Pedro Neto is our best left back, or sorry, left wing as of right now. I love Mudrik and Maldini. Yeah, Mudrik, I wish didn't have the issue that he had, but he's obviously not going to be playing for Chelsea for a while. But I think again, Pedro Neto starts in that left wing. Right wing, we're probably going to be starting Cole Palmer, if I'm not mistaken. Midfield wise is going to be probably Enzo Fernandez. I gotta assume that it's going to be Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Lavi if those are all fit players. Like that would be our middle three because that would absolutely dominate the midfield. And again, Cole Palmer on that right side, João Pedro probably up top, and then Pedro Neto on the left side. And then we're looking with our normal back line, left side Cucurella, Colwell, Chalaba, and then Reece James if he's fully fit. Otherwise, Malagusta is obviously a good spot there too. But that being said, I think Jamie Gittins then comes in and just is going against tired legs. Like, think about in the 60th minute, after Pedro Neto's been just running at you for 60 minutes. Now Jamie Gittins is going to come on and do the exact same, who's actually a pretty good dribbler as well. Like, defenders are going to really struggle. I watched Bilbo versus Liverpool. Vert's progressive passing is insane. He just looks a bit weak finishing. I mean, that's like I said, his confidence will come there, but he definitely is capable of making those passes. He's very calculated with his passing moving forward. Like, he's not like your Jordan Henderson who's just playing ball side to side. Like, he's constantly looking forward, trying to unlock the defense. And again, those passes he makes, he's pretty good at calculating how much, like, the chance of where he needs to play the ball. Like, those balls don't usually get lost to the defense. They usually go to the right player. And then again, from there it depends on what happens. But he is more than capable of unlocking defenses and breaking the line with his passes for the most part. So I think he's a good player. Cheers, Fabrizio. I didn't see with Fabrizio if he said anything lately, which I'm curious of what he's been doing this transfer window, because Fabrizio, I feel like he's been like pulling strings on Isaac and some other players that I don't know if there was actually things going on, and all of a sudden he's obviously making quotes and putting things in. Maybe that's just me thinking of what I've been seeing. But again, it's one of those that I think he's been having his hand in the pot for all the transfers that have been happening as of lately. Do you think West Fofana will be healthy and actually produce this year? In my opinion, he's healthy. I mean, he should. If he is fully fit, Wesley Fofana is a proper CB, and he does pair well with Levy Colwell. Like, Levy Colwell starting on the left side of that CB position, like that is his. So Fofana, I think can, but I do. Here's my thing. I think Trevor Chalba is a phenomenal center back as well, and I do think him and Colwell have a pretty good pairing because they play so well together. And I think they're both fairly young. And Chalba was playing well at Crystal Palace when he got loaned out this past season, and then obviously Chelsea brought him back because of injuries to Fofana. But since then, for playing for Chelsea, he hasn't really put a wrong foot in. I know there's obviously a few errors that happen there. My whole thing is that you usually want to have your back line as fully fit and playing together time and time again. And the thing is, if you go with Fofana and then all of a sudden he does pick up an injury, now you're trying to bring Chalaba into that system where, again, if we just start those guys, you know Kukurela is going to stay fit, you know Levy Colwell is going to stay fit, and Chalaba is going to stay fit. Whether Reece James fully does, that's a debate, but you're at least having three of the four guys fully fit each and every match week. Whereas again, even if we do put Malagusto in there, those guys are going to be used to playing with him. That's all the players Sunderland 8 have signed. I'm assuming that they stay up. I mean, I think Sunderland's been doing well. I think they could stay up. It's just I don't see it happening. Granted, the players that are bringing in could obviously do that, but they have to really have the chemistry, and that's going to be the biggest downfall for them. Like, again, when you bring all these players in and trying to just jam them together and hopefully things work out, it again can work out, but it has to work out quickly. Like, you cannot wait too long for it to take too long to all gel and get the chemistry going, because it might be too late. And as we know, if it gets too late, then all of a sudden players start turning on other players. Like, I should be like, players think like I should be starting over that guy, or that guy shouldn't be starting, and all of a sudden that will cause issues, because in the locker room, if you don't have a cohesive team, it really does make a difference. And then the manager can get sacked, and then all of a sudden now you're trying to get some other manager to come in, and it just turns into like a merry-go-round for the most part. I don't think you can probably use preseason matches to judge teams and players. Yeah, I agree with that. For FPL, would you put between Marmoush and Verts? We did a live last time. You guys helped me pick my team, and I didn't pick Marmoush or Verts. I did have Marmoush in there at first. I do think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's going to be very, very good this season, and I do think if my fantasy when we do next week Wednesday for the draft, if he's still around in the second round, I plan on picking Marmoush as my second player, him or Gyökeres. I mean, it depends on who's left, but I have a feeling Gyökeres is definitely going to be gone in that second round. I think Isaac is trying to force Newcastle to give him a better contract. And I mean, he deserves, I mean, a better contract. I don't even know what Isaac is currently on. If you look at Newcastle, like, he should be the guy they're building around. Like, Isaac is that good. And I don't understand, like, if Newcastle are just trying to like go back and forth for the most part. But if they were able to build around Isaac and be like, hey, we want you to be our guy for the next like decade, not that I say he's gonna be there for the next decade, but like they're trying to build a project with him. Like it makes sense to then go out and buy a bunch of players. And like I said, when they brought in Alanga, it made total sense because they're both Swedish players. So again, you're bringing another guy from a nationality to play alongside you, who's amazing right winger. So you got Alanga, you got Isak, you then have Gordon, who's also a pretty good left winger. So the front three at Newcastle is pretty solid. Then you think about their midfield, and I could argue that maybe their midfield is a little bit weaker, but they could clearly go and get some other players. Bruno Guimaraes is a good CDM. Now, if you don't like him, I understand. He's pretty dirty. He elbows players. Somehow he doesn't ever get sent off, but he's still a good midfielder. Then you look at Tonali, also a very good international player and very good Newcastle player. And then if you look at Jolinton or again, whoever they want to put in there, they have a pretty good midfield. Their back line, not too bad, but they could make some of these upgrades. And Newcastle really does have the right team to be a good team, but for some reason, they just don't want to invest their money into it. Newcastle's midfield weak. I'm not saying their midfield's weak. I'm saying that they're a pretty strong midfield. Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali. Like I'm saying, I don't know if Jolinton. I don't know why I can't say his name right now, but you know what I'm talking about. If he's a guy you could probably upgrade a little bit, but he's still a good midfielder. But like I said, they could clearly go and get some different midfielders. Like you look at the players that Manchester City just signed in the last season in midfield, like Newcastle could have signed any of those guys, and that would have upgraded their midfield. Like Isak has to see that. Like Newcastle, I understand don't have the proper funds, and when I say don't have the proper funds because of PSR, they still have enough money to go and buy a midfielder. Like they could have easily done that, but instead they went and bought Ramsdale. Like, why? You had Nick Pope, who's a great goalkeeper. You had Dubravka, who's also a good goalkeeper. Like, to bring in Ramsdale was just a waste of money, unless they already knew that Dubravka was going to be going to Burnley, which I now see reports with that because Trafford going to City. Like, there's a lot of goalkeepers moving around in the Premier League, which is weird to see that for the most part. But that being said, um, again, Newcastle, I don't fully understand what they're doing, the upper management, because they could be so much better. Sorry if I missed some of the accent hella jarring. I am sorry, Deserby. Um, though I'm not sure what you're doing here. You should be managing your club. Let's see. That's Man City, though. Well, that's true, Lewis. I mean, you got to think about, yeah, Man City definitely have a bigger pool. Pep Guardiola has a bigger pool. I mean, that's one of the things that Newcastle have to work with. But still, like Isak could definitely see, like, if they invest more into this club, they could be a really good team. Like they have Champions League. I mean, they had Champions League. They won a trophy last season, even though it's the League Cup. So you can say whatever you want about the League Cup, but they still won a trophy. And you could see what it meant to all those players. And you got to think once you win a trophy, like those players, they now have the capability, the mindset to understand what it needs to take to actually win something. And seeing that the effects of what the manager's been trying to do tactic wise has worked out, has paid off. And so they bring in some more players that now add on to that. Like Newcastle should be building off of last year with winning a trophy. And I don't care if it's a League Cup, you still won a trophy, you can build off that. But they haven't been doing it. So that is my TED talk on Newcastle. I'll probably talk about it again in a little bit. Ramsdale, I'm going to go back to what you guys said here, though. Rio, remember the name. I mean, Rio had a great preseason match today. I think he had a goal and assist. Ramsdale admitted that he struggled to stay focused in the match. Made me laugh so hard. I didn't realize he even said that or when that happened. Man City have 115 financial breaches, but nothing is happening. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that. That something should come of it, but I doubt it's going to happen. Kieran Dewsbury Hall to Everton thoughts. Dewsbury Hall going to Everton makes sense from both parties, or all three parties if you want to look at Everton. It's a shame because when he came into Chelsea, I thought like he was going to be a huge player for Chelsea because obviously with his history with Maresca at Leicester, what they did 2 seasons ago in the championship to get promoted, like in my mind, I was thinking this guy was going to light up the league at Chelsea. I don't know why I thought that because obviously when you're coming up from the championship into the Premier League, it doesn't always transition the way you want it to. But he barely got a sniff in the Premier League. Like he played a couple hundred minutes. And granted, he played in the Conference League a lot. Chelsea did have their two teams, and so therefore he did look well in the Conference League, but Chelsea should have looked well in the Conference League. And therefore, again, selling him for, I think it came to like 28, 29, like we're breaking even on him. And that's fine. But Everton are definitely going to be able to utilize him better. So For him, came to Chelsea for a season, won 2 trophies. That's pretty good. I mean, most players are happy to win some trophies. It's why they usually move around. So therefore, it worked out for him at Chelsea, despite the fact not playing too much. Now he's going to Everton. Everton need to get more depth in the midfield. I think he's a good player that will get utilized pretty quickly by David Moyes. Like it makes sense. And like I said, they didn't spend too much for him, roughly 30 million. Chelsea break even, and therefore, again, everyone's pretty happy with it. Do I wish he would have stayed longer? Yes. But like I said, him going to Everton, I'm not going to be too upset about. And I don't think anyone else really should be. I think everyone should be happy. But the only thing is knowing Dewsbury Hall playing for Everton, when Everton come to Stamford Bridge, I guarantee you he's going to score against Chelsea. Or when we go and play against Everton, like he's going to score against us. Like that is a common thing that most ex-Chelsea players seem to always score against us. It just always happens. Like after the season, we let them go. So that's probably what's going to happen. Um, Let me see here. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to catch up on here on the how is Verts a flop? He's been really good this preseason. Again, I'm not saying he's a flop. This is me just thinking he could be a flop. Verts was great last night. Atletico. Oh, yeah, I guess that was last night now for people watching. Verts flop while Verts rank these KDB, Gerard, and Lampard. I mean, I made a huge video about Lampard being the best midfielder. I can go into a little depth with that, why I think he still is the best midfielder because he played over 900 games, Frank Lampard, and averaged about a goal or assist every other match for over 900 games. So it's 450 matches roughly. And again, he scored multiple seasons, 20 plus goals. And if people want to rank him as a goal scorer, like he's a midfielder, he shouldn't be scoring that many goals, yet he still did it. Still was really good with passing the ball, pressing, pretty much did everything that Gerard did, but yet scored more goals, helped lift many trophies for Chelsea. Now, between him and Kevin De Bruyne, obviously that's a coin flip because if both were to walk into the club, you can't go wrong with either of them. I'm biased. I'm going to pick Lampard over Kevin De Bruyne, even though he played for Chelsea. But yeah, so Lampard, Kevin De Bruyne, then Gerard. And that's not to discredit Gerard because he's still a great midfielder. I'm not going to say he's not. But when you're comparing him to those two other guys, he's third best. Lewis, eighth 2 years ago. Gerard, eighth is Yashin Trophy 2023. Starting 11 prediction for Leverkusen. I haven't looked at Leverkusen's squad since they've been just kind of getting ripped apart. Is Ta even still at Leverkusen, or is he going to Bayern Munich as well? Scholes clears all? No. Scholes is a good midfielder, but he's not. Again, when you're looking back, people are going to say Scholes is a phenomenal player, but Frank Lampard is a better midfielder. He done so much. I know this isn't what you're here for, but Nico Williams is generally the most overrated player right now. Are we talking Nico Williams for Nottingham Forest, or are we talking the other Nico Williams? I'm assuming you mean the other one, but I don't think Nico Williams from Nottingham Forest gets that much hype. Still taking Ramsdale over Pope. I don't know. I mean, Nick Pope is a better goalkeeper, in my opinion. The thing with Ramsdale is it's very unfortunate for him because obviously he was at Arsenal just a handful of seasons ago, was their starting goalkeeper. Then obviously David Raya came in and took that position from him. But I feel like I mean, I would say he should have stayed there, but it's hard to be a goalkeeper of his caliber and be a bench player. But I think he still would have had plenty of time to play. Scholes, despite being a local lad, was never United's Player of the Year. Yeah, I mean, this may be controversial in the hot take, but I think Michael Carrick was actually a better midfielder than Scholes. But that's just me. I mean, Michael Carrick was an unsung hero for United for so many years. Like that guy really did run the midfield for United, but most people don't think about him being that good. You think Arteta can fix Chelsea's players? No, I don't think Arteta can fix them. I don't understand why he keeps picking Chelsea players. Again, being a Chelsea fan, I'm more than happy that he keeps taking smart players because he's helping us out. But I don't understand why they took a loan last year for Raheem Sterling. Like that did not make sense at all. Like there was nothing that Raheem Sterling was doing that gave him worth to go to Arsenal for a loan. Now, granted, whoever made that deal happen at Chelsea should have got a bonus for that because they offloaded him for the rest of the season. And I think he played what a handful of games for Arsenal. And anytime he played for him, he looked god awful. And it's a shame because he was such a good player. Like most people now that think of Raheem Sterling, they think of what he's playing like now. 5 years ago, Raheem Sterling was absolutely lighting up the league at City. And prior to that, even playing for Liverpool, the man was brilliant. But now with his age and his legs have pretty much gone on him, like his finishing is gone. He was such a good player. And it's a shame that most people now are going to remember how bad he was. But the last 2 seasons have been terrible for him. Arsenal not going for Kvara was ridiculous. They need a player like him. Oh, Skelly, that man is brilliant. I don't know if he's going to stay at PSG for a super long. Sterling 20 or 2018-19, yeah, that was a perfect season for Sterling. But Kvara, I mean, I really want to see him in the Premier League. I hope he doesn't stay at PSG for much longer, but that man is a brilliant left winger, and I do think he has a possibility of being a Ballon d'Or winner at some point. Like that's how good that guy is. And I thought for sure like he was going to go to City at one point last year. I thought there was like rumors for him, but it just fizzled out. And I think there was a few other teams that should have went for him. For some reason they didn't. Like I would have been super happy if Chelsea would have went for him, but just for some reason they didn't. Would you want Garnacho at Chelsea? Again, I would take Garnacho for depth, but he's not going to start for Chelsea. And again, he has to bring down his wages. Ballon d'Or lost its credibility. Don't feel same so more. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. The Ballon d'Or used to be a huge like honor back in the day. And again, I'm showing my age here, but like in the early 2000s and everything, like you actually were looking forward to who was going to win. Like it was actually the best player. And obviously Messi and Ronaldo kind of broke that for the most part because you got so used to just seeing those two players, and rightfully so. They should have been winning it whenever they did win it. I mean, there's some controversy in a few of the years, but now it's just one of those. It's more of a popularity, and they try to make it bigger, but it's hard because there are so many great players and so many different attributes in the sport itself that a defensive player really is never going to get the praise that they deserve. Even the goalkeeper like Neuer probably had the capability of winning it, but yet still didn't win it. And then Virgil van Dijk, whenever that year was, I think he took third, maybe he was second, but he should have been probably a winner as well. And that's another reason why, just thinking about why I picked Frank Lampard. The man took second behind Ronaldinho, and I think he could have won it that year, but Ronaldinho was just absolutely a freak of nature. Like that's why Frank Lampard didn't win a Ballon d'Or, just because of that player. Just throwing that in there before I forget about that. I don't really think so. Players have to be super consistent across all competition to win it now. Not really. I mean, think about it, how consistent some players were. Erling Haaland won a treble with City and broke a bunch of records and didn't win the Ballon d'Or. And again, he should have won it that year. He just absolutely smashed it at City. Like I understand Messi did quite well, but what happens is a lot of international tournaments come in, and then all of a sudden you see that happening, and it just changes everyone's perspective on what happened in the entire club season. Like Mudryk being in one of those. I mean, yes, he was obviously great at Real Madrid, but then Croatia made it to the finals in the World Cup, and he was obviously a big part of that. But still, when you look at all the other players that season, I don't know if Mudryk across the entire season plus the World Cup was the best player, but yet he still won it. I read it's mostly people saying Rodri shouldn't have won it. I mean, I'm in the camp of saying Rodri should have won it. Rodri is arguably he was one of the best players. And now I'm not sure with his injury if he still will be one of the best players, but he's still that good. Um, Griezmann is the most GOAT. Muller number two. I'm not sure what you mean by I'm talking about assists. Then yeah, I've seen enough. Gerald Hato is already better than Saliba. That's a bold claim. I'm not sure about that. I mean, Saliba is a phenomenal player. I mean, Saliba, he's a guy that is just so elegant. Like he understands where to be before the ball's there. And as a defender, that's a huge skill set to have because when you watch him, he doesn't have to exert himself that often. Virgil van Dijk does as well. And it's one of those things. I mean, the top CBs are really good at knowing where to be way before the ball's even played. And even when the ball is played, you don't see him exerting themselves that much. It's why Virgil van Dijk can play so well at his age, but also why he stops so many things. Like he doesn't have to be super fast because he knows where to get his body in front of the ball and make those tackles and he doesn't have to make a last-ditch tackle most of the time. I don't think he makes them too often, maybe every now and then, but he's very smart and intelligent player. Man U winning the Premier League, I doubt that that's going to happen. Hoyson will easily be Real Madrid's best defender next season. I mean, he's with what? Rudiger, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I'm trying to think who their left back is. So there's not much of a competition. So yeah, Hoyson should be that, which it's surprising that Real Madrid went from. I still am quite shocked that one season in the Premier League at 19, what he did, he had a great year, but then Real Madrid just coming and buying him immediately. I didn't think that was going to happen, and so I could see him having a hard time adapting this season, and I do think Real Madrid's going to have a hard time with their defense. I don't think it's fully as capable of most people think it is. I think obviously Barcelona still is heavy favorites to win it again, but like I said, they can really struggle. I think Trent Alexander might be a huge liability for them. Granted, he's really good going forward, but he's terrible defense wise. Griezmann, Mueller, and Dybala, top three most underrated ballers last 10 years. Thoughts? I mean, maybe I'm in the area where I think Thomas Mueller wasn't underrated. I mean, he's a World Cup winner. I guess that's outside of 10 years, but he's second on the most assists, and obviously he's won multiple Bundesliga titles and other trophies. So I'm assuming he's not. Griezmann gets a little disrespect for his time at Barcelona, and somehow still, I mean, I think he's a great player, but hasn't won La Liga at all, and therefore, again, I think that hurts his factor. But he's still a great player. I don't think he's underrated. Guys, Atletico owns Real and Bar. Yeah, I mean, Atletico Madrid's a good team. In your dreams, sorry, I'm just looking at all the stuff. You got to remember, I'm sadly a Man United fan. Well, exactly. I'm a Chelsea fan, which is why I think Chelsea's going to win the league itself too. I'm again very biased on that, and I do understand like the chance of Chelsea actually winning the league are probably not very high. It's got to be in like 10%, if not lower. I do think it's Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. Like those have to be the three heavy favorites going into the season. Now, that all being said, anything can still happen. I mean, injuries can happen, or again, Chelsea starts stringing a bunch of wins together, and all of a sudden they have this huge confidence, and therefore no one can beat them. Like that easily happened. Look at Leicester when they won the Premier League. They just again, when you start building confidence and realizing you can smash any team that comes to your home field, and then if you go out on an away match and you still are smashing teams, it just starts fueling energy into all the players, and you start getting this belief like, hey, we're gonna win this, and it just makes a huge difference for the most part. I'm just trying to see if there's any updated news for transfer wise here, because that's what we were going to talk about, but we kind of went on a ramble about other clubs here. Real Madrid have an attacking problem. Last season, it was a weak defense. Real Madrid, I think, have a lot of issues, and I think they are going to struggle this upcoming year. Trent Alexander-Arnold could make them worse. I think he could. I mean, when you're looking at their defense, like I said, Hoyson, I think is a good defender, but if he's going to be surrounded by Rudiger, who also pushes forward, and then Trent Alexander also pushes forward, it's going to leave a lot of worrisome on him, and therefore, again, he's going to maybe make an error or two. And Real Madrid fans will turn on their players very quickly. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, they will turn on you. They booed Ronaldo at times too. Finally, Bayern getting rid of Kim is great because he was awful for us, and Ta is going to be awesome. Yeah, I thought Ta was going to Bayern Munich. Wait, where'd Kim go then? Do you go to another Bundesliga club, or do you leave to another country? Where do you think Chelsea will place in the Champions League? Champions League, I mean, I'd love to see them get to at least the quarterfinal, if not further. But if they make it to the quarterfinal, I'd be happy. Um, well, let's say move to Bayern and lighting up the Bundesliga shows the level of Prem versus other leagues. I mean, I think Olse was a very good player. At Chelsea were trying to go for him, but we weren't able to get it across the line. I think there was something with his clause. There was something why Chelsea didn't bring him in. Like Michael Olise was like one of the top priorities for Chelsea before he went to Bayern Munich. And like you said, there was some issue with that he didn't come there, and then Bayern Munich came in and took him. So I think he would have done really well at Chelsea. But had we've gotten him, we wouldn't have gotten Cole Palmer. So take that what you want for it for the most part. That and McTominay, although Syria is basically a corpse right now. I mean, McTominay is a good player. He even did well at United. Like he scored multiple like late goals for United. It's just one of those that he was unfortunate for. Again, the manager didn't want him at the club anymore. Think about if Ruben would have been at the club at the beginning of the season or even the summer of last year, I think he would have kept McTominay at United. I think he would have used McTominay very, very well. But yeah, made sense. I mean, even Billy Gilmore looked well in Napoli. So, like I said, maybe yeah, Serie A isn't as strong as it used to be. Yeah, but he went from a mid-table. Chelsea are building a Galacticos team. I mean, they're kind of doing that. Yeah. Granted, we're still, I mean, trying to figure out a few different positions. I know Donnarumma is possibly linked to Chelsea, which if we get Donnarumma, like Chelsea have to then be in the talks to win the Premier League. I do think Robert Sanchez is a good goalkeeper. So again, if we don't get Donnarumma, I still believe in Robert Sanchez that we can still win the Premier League with him as our goalkeeper. You think Chelsea have the best transfer window? Yes, I do think. I mean, if you're looking at the transfers that we've done, not just buying but selling, like here, I'm gonna see if I can pull up the list for what Chelsea have done. Premier League transfers this season. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. You are absolutely tweaking, my guy. I'm tweaking. I mean, it's like 11 o'clock. My contacts are bothering me, so maybe I am. The sales have been insane. Let me see here. So if we go to Liverpool. Oh, I'm also on another screen too, so maybe that's why. Because I'm doing YouTube live here, which actually I should probably look at that and see. Yeah, no one's commenting there. All right, so Chelsea. This is what we're looking at for Chelsea wise. Uh, for selling wise, we sold Humphreys. Oh man, it doesn't tell me actually how much we sold them for though. I wish it did that. Uh, Bettinelli, Kepa, we sold. I'm gonna butcher his name though. Amogo, Petrovic, Noni, Caleb, Mike Penders is out on loan. Zhao Felix, Samuel Smith out on. Oh, he got transferred out too. Kendra Paez is on loan. Sar on loan. Like Chelsea, like recouped a lot of money off of all this. How's 11 where it is? Where are you 347? I mean, yeah, it's I'm obviously I'm on the East Coast. So when I say it's 11 o'clock, it's 10:49, 10 minutes to it. Let's see here. And I'm also on a swivel chair. So again, I just move around a lot. Let's see here. Imagine Big Mike is not nearly good enough anymore. He's fallen off a cliff in ability. Yeah, I think Chelsea probably did the right thing and not went for Big Mike from AC Milan because he was looking to have a huger salary, which again I think would have broke Chelsea just a little bit. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper, but I think he would have had too many issues. The sales have been insane. Yeah, we just looked at those. And looking selling Noni for 50 million, typical robbery in Chelsea. Yeah, I still understand how Chelsea sold him to Arsenal for 50 million. And it still doesn't even fully make sense to me that Chelsea sold him to Arsenal because if you're thinking about Arsenal, yes, they need depth, but you're also thinking they need a left winger because Gabriel Martinelli, I don't think is the guy they need. And people are going to say Noni can play on the left side. From what I've watched him play, he's absolutely god awful terrible on the left side. And maybe because when I watched him at the Club World Cup, when he played in the left wing, he literally just stood out on like the side, like didn't move, didn't defend, didn't attack. He just sat around, did absolutely nothing. Now, granted, that was maybe a week before the news broke, maybe not even that he was going to Arsenal. So maybe he already knew that he was leaving, and therefore I'm having a little bias in that. But even last year during the Premier League, when we moved him to the left side, like he can't do what he wants to do, and that's cut inside. He's like a Robin. Not that he's as good as Robin was, but he tries to cut into his left foot and then just play a curling shot. He can't do as well as Robin. And granted, he is younger, so maybe he will get to that point. But if he's on the left wing, he can't cut in with his right foot and try to hit it. Like he scored goal with his right foot, but his right foot is a constant like hit or miss. Like, and when he misses, it's a terrible miss. And like I said, he goes missing on that left side. If he plays on the right side, he's a great player. but he's not going to play over Saka. Now, again, Saka does need rotation because he's been injured so many seasons now, and he was out for 3, 4 months this past season. So obviously, it makes sense why they brought him in. But for 50 million, you would think they would have brought a guy to then again that's able to play on the left side and the right side, or be really well on that left side. Like think about Pedro Neto for Chelsea. Like that man can play left side, right side, down the middle if we need to do a false sign. Not that we need to now with Liam Delap and João Pedro, but that's how good that guy is. You look at some other guys too that can play on both sides, like Anthony Gordon. He's typically on the left side, but he can still play on the right side. And again, he can play right down the middle. He did it for Everton before he went to Newcastle. Like there's multiple guys that they could have easily went for the price they paid for Noni, but for some reason Arsenal decided that hey, we're gonna get this guy, and they bought Kepa, which that one, I mean, that's just backup. I'm not gonna say that's a bad signing for 5 million. You're not gonna be losing any money on that for the most part. And then I'm trying to think. That was it for so far, but obviously, like Williams gone there, and there's been some other players in the past, but currently those are the two players. And like I said, Raheem Sterling last year being out on loan to them, which never made sense. Let's see here. Chelsea won't finish in the top four. I mean, they just did this past season, so I would assume they're going to do it again. They've bolstered their team, and I think they definitely have the depth to withstand a lot of teams throughout the entire year, despite the fact that they're going to have some big games for Champions League, FA Cup, and the league. Verts and Gyökeres biggest flops of the season. I mean, I'm so when Gyökeres was first like breaking the news to go to Arsenal, I did think he was going to be a massive flop, but at the same time, like it makes so much sense that he should be a good player at Arsenal. Like they're going to be just serving him so many balls on a silver platter. Like he he could miss 5 or 10 chances in a match. He's still going to have 5 or 10 more chances to score in that game. And like I said, you got to assume he's going to score one or two of those chances. Now, if he does miss all of them, his confidence does drop, then yeah, it's going to be a massive issue. But I can't imagine he misses that many opportunities. And yeah, we know we saw Hoyland at United be terrible last year, but he didn't receive as much as he's going to get, or Hoyland didn't receive as much as what Gyökeres is going to receive at Arsenal, being in the front nine. Like you look at that squad, they're going to be able to feed the ball to him constantly, whether it's Saka, Declan Rice in the midfield. I'm not sure who they're all going to have. Odegaard in the midfield, if they're going to rotate with some other players. Then even Gabriel Martinelli is able to at least drive into the box and then lay it off to him. And then you look at their defensive players, like all their defensive players are very good moving forward. You look at Ben White, Calafiori, or MLS as well. I have a feeling he's probably going to be starting this year for Arteta and Arsenal. He had such a breakout season last year, despite how young he was. He's very good defending and moving forward. So all those players are going to be able to just, again, find him in open space, cross the ball into him. He's good aerial wise. And sooner or later, like I said, he's going to find the back of that. So I have a hard time believing Gyökeres does flop. Like it would be shocking if he did. And like, I know they paid quite a bit for him, but I can't see it. And I'm not going to lie. I do like the celebration too. I mean, I'm a bit jealous of that celebration, but this is still a good celebration too. Garnacho scored one bicycle kick, and he thinks he's better than what he is. I mean, it was a pretty good goal. I think it won the best goal of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So that being said, I mean, obviously anyone can score. Peter Crouch scored a nice bike one time for Liverpool. And so therefore, again, not that I think Peter Crouch was one of the best strikers, still a great player, but I'm not going to say he was in the top 10 of strikers to ever play in the Premier League. Gyökeres can't handle Prem players. I mean, he scored a hat trick against City in the Champions League this past year. You can take that for what you want. I mean, but that's a Premier League team that he definitely did well, and that's from playing for Sporting. So you got to think at Arsenal. Arsenal went head to head with City without having a number 9. So you got to think that Gyökeres is going to be able to do that again with players around him that are at Arsenal. But again, it could happen. Biggest question is what so talks about Chelsea Academy pathway that Rio left for Liverpool. I mean, the problem with Chelsea is that a lot of our academy players they get loaned out quite a bit, and it's not like they're how do I want to say this? There is not room for every academy player to come through and play for Chelsea. Now, obviously, those academy players can stick it out and try to push through. I mean, some of those players have done it. Reece James, Mason Mount, Broja did until he got injured. Now he's off to he's off to Burnley, and so some players do make it through. But when you have a guy like him who's looking to again start in the team, it's just not going to happen. And I think Liverpool do give him the opportunity to again get minutes and play and possibly start a few matches. But at Chelsea, it's just not going to happen. You got to look at the rest of the squad that we have. Like, I just don't see where he's going to play over anyone unless it's a League Cup match. But if we lose the first round that Chelsea have in the League Cup, then we're not going to play him in the FA Cup. We're definitely not going to play in the Champions League, and we're probably not going to play him in the Premier League with all the other players that we have. So again, it makes sense he goes out and goes to Liverpool. Yorkers is from a Farmers League, won't hack the Premier League. I mean, Ronaldo came from Sporting, Bruno Fernandes came from Sporting, Nani came from Sporting, just a few guys that did quite well in the Premier League. And again, I'm not going to say he's going to lay up the league. I'm just saying there have been players from Sporting that have done well, and there's been some players from Sporting that haven't done well. Quaresma being one of them. He played for Chelsea for a little bit and definitely didn't do anything. Noni came from PSV, didn't he? I could have sworn Noni came from, or Nani, sorry, Nani, not Noni. That's what I meant. Nani, the Portuguese player, came from Sporting. Yeah, Noni came from PSV. You'd be right on that one. But they had world-class players around him. I'm not sure who you mean, who they are in world-class. If you mean like Ronaldo and Nani, because yes, they did have world-class players, but they still became the players who they are, and they did quite well. Who's your favorite player? My favorite player currently, or my favorite player overall? Overall, to ever play the game is Michael Ballack. Ballack is my favorite player of all time. Just what he brought to the pitch and how good of a player he was. Even though he had a little bit of a curse as a player, I still think he was phenomenal, which is why actually I like Chelsea. I mean, I liked Chelsea beforehand, but I was kind of not that gun ho on Chelsea. I mean, I like Bayern Munich because Bob played there as well. But then when he came to Chelsea, like I just watched the Premier League so much more because of that. And I had the capabilities of watching the Premier League. I still watched it here and there. Ronaldo, Nani had world class players around them. Yeah, but again, like I'm saying, Ronaldo and Nani were also world class players. Like you could like think about this. If you stuck in, I'm trying to think of a player right now that's not world class, that probably wouldn't do anything. And it's hard to say because it's difficult to think because when I think of players, my brain just thinks of world class players because you don't think of average players. So who could I think of as a player that's not world class? Bamford. So Patrick Bamford from Leeds. If you think you stuck him in that United side, do you think he does as well as what Ronaldo did on that left wing or what Nani did? No, because again, he's a good player because he played in the Premier League, played in the Championship, but he's not the caliber player that goes on to win the Ballon d'Or and to go on to almost score 1,000 goals. Like those, that's how good those players were. And yes, obviously it comes down to work ethics and everything. But and I don't know if not saying Gyökeres is going to reach the levels of Ronaldo either, but I'm just saying there's the capability that it could happen for the most part. And that's why again, Gyökeres, again, if you're not an Arsenal fan, you're probably thinking he's going to flop. And if you are an Arsenal fan, you're assuming he's going to score 30 goals this upcoming season. I'm looking at hopefully from a realistic standpoint that I think he will be an okay player this first season. But like I said, he's probably still going to score like almost 20 goals through all competition. Not as a player, but in attributes like passing. Arsenal, sorry, I missed what you said there. Arsenal's transfer window has been depressing, but Arsenal fans are glazing it. I mean, kind of, but at the same time, Zubamendi was a good signing for Arsenal. Gyökeres is a good signing. I'm not going to say Noni's a bad signing because he's still a good player and he's still young. Like he has a lot of potential yet. So if you're looking at those three players, those are pretty good signings. And then I mean, obviously they brought Kepa and there was one other player I thought Arsenal brought in, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back up to the top here. Arsenal, and they got rid of quite a few players as well. So I think that was quite a big thing. Oh yeah, Nordgaard, that's the other player, which Nordgaard is also a good midfielder to have for the most part. He brings in the captaincy from Brentford and just has, I mean, the leadership that they might want to have in the locker room. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be their captain, obviously not, but he's still a good signing. Arsenal really need a starting left wing. I think that's will be a massive weakness. Yeah, I mean, it really is for Arsenal. They definitely needed a left wing player, and I'm not sure exactly who they would still go for. Currently, I mean, that's the hard part because we're now, I'm going to say roughly a week. I know it's a couple days past that because Friday, whatever day that is with Liverpool, they kick off for the Premier League. But which, so I'm just thinking now, Liverpool play this weekend, and then they play Friday. I That's quite ridiculous that they have that quick around the turnaround for the Community Shield, and then they also have to play Friday, which is a bit rough for them. And you would think that they would have played Sunday or something then to get a full week's rest. Arsenal aren't done yet, and I'm not saying Arsenal is done, but I'm just saying they definitely need to look at Rodrigo to Arsenal. That would actually be quite interesting. But I don't know if they have the capabilities and the funds to do that. But Rodrigo to Arsenal would actually be quite scary if that were to happen. To have Rodrigo, Gyökeres, and Saka as your attacking three, that would be pretty good. But again, that's also on paper. Does it work on the pitch? We wouldn't know until we see that. Rayoff Verts already, preseason blood. Again, I'm putting this question mark here because I'm asking, do you think he's going to be a flop? I'm not saying he's going to be a flop, but I could see how people can see that for the most part. Newcastle disaster, I do think that is a disaster what they've been doing so far. Rumov after the game against France, Gusto pocketed him. I'm not sure we're talking about the France game. What France game? Was that recently? Arsenal ethics, or say who's reporting this? Me? I'm not too sure. Arsenal haven't done yet, and Chelsea looking at Donnarumma apparently, which is unreal. Yeah, I think if Chelsea can sign Donnarumma, they have to be in contentions for the Premier League, and I would even say the Champions League then too, which maybe that's a little too crazy to say for the most part. But Donnarumma is such a ridiculous player. Like I don't understand how he's so big, tall, I should say, and yet he can get down so quickly to save so many shots. He's a great player, and still, like, he's such a young goalkeeper. Like, goalkeepers are that crazy thing where they get better over time for the most part. Like, as they age, they continue to get better and better and better. So, like, right now, Donnarumma hasn't even met his peak yet for goalkeeping. And so, if Chelsea were able to bring him in, it would be clearly a big signing for them. And they would probably, well, I should say probably be done for the transfer window. I feel like Chelsea's never done up until like the final minute of the transfer window. But I think they still go for Xavi Simons. They get Donnarumma. If they get Garnacho, I think from there that would probably be the last few signings for Chelsea. Let me see here. Sorry, look. Donny is going to Galatasaray. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does go somewhere else and not to Chelsea. But I know there's still links to that happening. Thing is, I think Palmer exposed Donner's weakness on low shots. I mean, maybe, but Cole Palmer, like his goals that he scored, if like you go back and watch those goals, there's so much going on between him scoring that goal before he even kicks it. Like he's doing like these little ball fakes and little feints for the most part. So defenders are constantly like sliding past. So Donnarumma's trying to watch this, and then he just perfectly places the ball into the corner. Like again, Donnarumma is a big fella. And the fact that he couldn't reach those shots, because I think Cole Palmer hit it with a huge amount of pace. Like he passed into the back of the net. But it's like when the ball is perfectly placed on target, it's very difficult for a goalkeeper to save them. And I think that was part of it because Cole Palmer just put it nicely. And then the goal that João Pedro scored, the chip over him, that's just one of those that he just caught him just right. Again, I'm not going to discredit that to a goalkeeper because you have to make a guess. Go low or is he going to go high? He went low. João Pedro went high. Or sorry, Donnarumma went low. João Pedro went high. And obviously we know the result of that game, how it went for Chelsea. But yeah, what do you think about Estavio? I think Estavio is going to be a great player for Chelsea. I think he's a young player, but I think he has a capability of being a really good player. He's not, there's been talks, he's not going to be starting right off the bat, which I think makes sense. The only thing that we have to figure out that if we start him, Cole Palmer then has to move into the 10 position, which obviously Cole Palmer can play there. But it does make a difference than what we're going to do tactic-wise because if we bring Cole Palmer into the 10, that then leaves our double pivot with Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, which we've done before. I'm not saying we can't do that. Pedro Neto on the left side. But it's going to be difficult then for our right back or left back. So whether that's Caicedo, Malagosto, or Reece James pushing up then because like I said, I think Cole Palmer makes more sense out on the wing and us loading in three midfielders. Like when I say midfielders, I mean like proper midfielders. Cole Palmer is considered a midfielder, but he's more of an attacking third player. Like he's a pretty much a cam if you think about it. Like he doesn't have much defensive rate. Like I wouldn't expect Cole Palmer to make any big tackles, and therefore again, Neto right wing. Neto plays left and right. Like Neto can play either side. Like even during the Club World Cup, we literally switched him back and forth for the most part in matches because the nice thing about him is that he can play right, left, kick the ball with both feet, and he can dribble in any direction. And Enzo Maresca did constantly keep moving him back and forth because it makes it difficult for teams to know how they're going to defend against that. What if Liverpool got Isak? Will Liverpool overtake Chelsea? I mean, they've already taken over. They've overtaken Chelsea. I'm not going to say they haven't. So if they bring Isak, yeah, they would obviously do it. Then they'll probably start over Martinelli because he's been saying this since last season. Again, I don't think if he takes over for Gabriel Martinelli, people are going to be disappointed at how poorly he is on that left side. What do you mean, Verts flop? Verts isn't a flop. This is just his price tag. It might be too high, and therefore, again, people might consider that he's a flop. How and has talent emerging fast, and it's hard for the talent to get game time. Who are we talking? Sorry, I'm not too sure who that is. Don, who are we talking about? My dream 11 is Donnarumma, Cuckoo, Colwell, Hato, Reese, Enzo, Caicedo, Palmer, Neto, Pedro, Rodrigo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. For some reason, it looked like there was 12 players there. The only thing with that, I mean, Hato, I think, wants to play more on the left side, doesn't he? I thought him and Colwell were going to compete. So I don't know if I want Hato there. I think, again, you have to go with Chalaba for the most part. Rodrigo would make sense. The only problem with that is I think Palmer, Neto, I guess Neto does do a lot of defensive work. My problem with that would be I think the attacking four players there aren't going to bring in as much defensive work rate, which might be a problem. Maybe they could, and that would help out. But like I said, that might be the thing. Thing is, Arsenal have Nawari, so I can't understand why they wasted money on no. Yeah, exactly. I forgot, and they just actually gave him an extension, if I'm not mistaken. So they obviously are clearly heavy favorites on that right wing. And I'm trying to think if Noni did play as a false nine for Chelsea last season, which I don't think he did. And I don't think he did for PSV. Not that I watched him play really at PSV, but like I said, it just was a strange signing for Arsenal for the most part. United are getting Donnarumma. I doubt that's going to happen. No, Verts and Salah seem to already be on the same page. I think we will assist Salah and most. I mean, yeah, Mohamed Salah could play with anyone. You could put Mohamed Salah against a random animal like a cow, and he would still look phenomenal. He'd make the cow look good. Mohamed Salah is that good of a player that anyone around him just looks that much better, which I guess that's the argument someone was making earlier that with Ronaldo and Nani at United, but still, like Mohamed Salah just frees up so much space for so many players. He may not score all the time, which he has done, but when he's dribbling the ball, like he makes space for other players to then run into those spaces. That's why Soposlai was so good this past season and a half, 2 seasons, because he's crashing in the box. Same with some of the other guys. Like again, Mohamed Salah is doing all this stuff, draws defenders in, and then he just lays the ball back across the box and someone just smashes in. This is where again, Darwin Nunez, if he would have been able to find the back net with so many opportunities, Mohamed Salah would have easily broken the assist record. But again, Darwin Nunez missed so many chances. Will Isak go to Liverpool? It seems like he's going to Liverpool, but like if he goes to Liverpool, like I don't know what Newcastle do from there. If they lose Isak, that's their best player, obviously. And actually, let me just look at Newcastle. If they actually brought in anyone else in, because I don't think they have really besides Alanga. So let me just look here because I don't have everyone remembered off the top of my head. So Newcastle, Cordero, which I'm not familiar with him at all, and then Sung Soo Park, I'm not familiar with him either, and then Ramsdale. And obviously they let go of a few players here. Wait, I'm confused here. So they Antonio Cordero got loaned out, but then he was also transferred in. I'm very confused on this right now for Newcastle, so that player might not be there. But yeah, otherwise, they got rid of Longstaff. They got rid of a few other players. So again, Newcastle really haven't done anything at all this transfer window, which again is quite interesting because you think about how they've been building this team up to compete in Champions League and obviously get into European position. They just haven't done anything to keep building on that this summer. And the window is closing shortly. And I gotta assume that Isaac is probably on his way out then. I can honestly see Slot playing versus a false nine. He could play as a false nine. He definitely can. So he's the most important, but not the best. I'm not too sure. It would be like Cess and Arsenal low key. I'm not sure what you mean by Cess and Arsenal low key, like that they didn't build around him because I think they were trying to, but Barcelona came knocking and asked for Cesc Fabregas, and that's I mean, for Cesc that's a difficult no to not go to Barcelona because being a Spaniard, like I think even if Real Madrid would have came knocking door, but I think he played in the Barcelona academy, so it's like he went back and he did well there too. Guimaraes, Tonali, Lewis Hall, Livermento, Gordon Murphy, Jolinton. Where are we doing here? I, I mean, if we're talking about that, again, I think Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali are a pretty good midfield. The other guy that they're playing with, whoever they put in there, because there's Murphy, Jolinton, and then Miley, I think his name is. That third midfielder is where they're going to have issues for the most part. So they need to bring someone else there. Newcastle have players for days, bro. I mean, not really. If you think about if Isak gets hurt, who's playing as their other number nine? I just want to pull up Newcastle's current lineup because I'm trying to think if they have anyone else outside of Isak that can play really as a number nine. I know Jolinton can play as a nine, but I wouldn't say he's their proper number nine for the most part. Jacob Murphy, Fablan Shard, Joe Willock, Sven Boten, Kieran Trippier. Yeah, there's really no one else that they could play. So again, that's gonna be a huge issue for Newcastle. Thoughts on Caleb Willie, the American Watford left back? I haven't really watched Watford, so I can't really put my say on it. And I'm an American, but I don't watch a lot of MLS or any of the United States national games because currently there was the Gold Cup going on, but it was during the Club World Cup, so I didn't really watch any of it. So I can't really put my opinion on him currently. I mean, I will see him play sooner than later, but I can't say anything as of right now. I don't want to say he's a good player or a bad player because I haven't seen him. Newcastle's in big trouble. They don't even have more pull than 17th position Spurs. Well, yes, but I mean, Spurs had one bad season. There's still Tottenham Hotspurs that they still have that pull for the most part, and they're a London club. Like being a London club has its pull for most players because London is a nicer place. I'm not gonna say it's the best place. I mean, I just recently traveled there, and there's been other nice cities I've been to, but it's still a nice area. Thoughts on Human Son going to LAFC? I mean, it makes sense. His time at Tottenham was coming to an end, and it's just one of those things that didn't do well this past season. And I think just age is catching up to him. I mean, a decade long at Tottenham, he's done so much, and I made a post 2 days ago about my thoughts on Human Sung. Like, I understand he's a Tottenham legend. Like, Son was phenomenal at Tottenham. But then I thought about, like, is he even in the top 10 for left wingers when you look at the players that have played in the Premier League? Like, there's been so many phenomenal left wingers. And just thinking off the top of my head, like, obviously Bale played for Tottenham, and that you could even toss up between those two players who is a better left winger. Now I understand Mohammed or not Mohamed Salah. Human Son played so much more at Tottenham that you would think that his longevity obviously eclipses Bale, but Bale was that good, and he still won a trophy too at Tottenham. But then you go on to think about like Ronaldo, Aiden Hazard, Thierry Henry, Robert Perez, and then there's just the list goes on of left wingers, which I never really thought about for the longest time until I made that post and people kept telling me other players. Bale is a right wing. In what world was Bale a right wing? Even at Real Madrid, he played in the left. Like there's the ridiculous goal he scored in the cup final where he literally ran outside of the pitch to go around and scored on the left. And even at Tottenham, he played left all the time. Did he play on the right side? Yes, he did, but he still played on the left a good chunk, and so I would consider him more of a left winger. But I guess if he played on both sides, then you could say he's on the right. But that being said, there's been a lot of wingers that have played in the Premier League, and I think the left winger has more positions than I think anywhere else. Where you think about like elite players that played there. I can't, not Son. Sorry, I want to see what you said. Any other Spurs player is fair game, but I can't hate Son. I've tried. I mean, I can't hate Harry Kane either. I do like Harry Kane, but and same with Son. But otherwise, yeah, I would agree with Tottenham with that. Not liking any of the other players. He played both more out of necessity. Yeah, because like I said, from when he even played, which again, I know that's not the Premier League. When he played Real Madrid, I'm pretty sure he played on the left wing the majority of the time, if I'm not mistaken. Played left in Real. So maybe that's why I'm thinking Tottenham. But I recall his hat trick against Inter Milan. He scored all three goals from the left side. Like he smashed it from his left foot to the right post from the left wing. So like again, he did play on the left side, Gareth Bale. So I'm not maybe it's just a few games. Oh yeah, Giggsy as well is another guy you're thinking about on the left wing too, who again might be the best left wing. And now I'm gonna say Thierry Henry is still the best left winger to play in the Premier League, but still, I'm excited to see Son play in MLS. I'm a Sporting's KC fan and would love to see him play Premier League. I would definitely recommend. I mean, this is one of my regrets that I didn't go and see Thierry Henry play when he played in the Premier League, or not the Premier League, when he played in MLS. Like I could have went and watched him play, and I was like, I'll go and watch him at some point. It never happened. And obviously now he's retired. Go and watch him play. Go watch Son play at least once. You're not going to regret it. Again, anytime someone comes to MLS, I recommend you go and watch that player because you're never really going to get to watch them. Henry, striker. Yes and no. I mean, yes, he was a striker, but he played on the left wing as well. It's the same thing. You go and watch, just go and watch Henry highlights. Most of the goals he scored, he came from the left wing and cut in and just did absolutely phenomenal jobs. Did he play as a striker? Yes, but he played also on the left wing quite often. But he also played at a time was a 4-4-2 was a very common thing. So he was more of a, I guess, a left striker and there was a right striker, but he played on the left wing a lot too. Kind of sad that Bill basically ended Maicon's career. Yeah, he definitely did in that match. I mean, even why am I blanking on the Brazilian goalkeeper right now? Who is that he scored the hat trick on? But even he, I mean, I don't think recovered after that match either. The name will come to me sooner or later. I can't think of his name right. I want to say Dida, but I know that's not who that is. Um, so whoever knows that goalkeeper that he scored 3 on against Inter Milan, Julio Cesar, that's who it was. Yeah, thank you. I literally thought of it as you were typing it in. I watched Henry in the flesh. He played in a 4-4-2. Yeah, exactly. So again, I realized when I was saying that too. He was a 4-4-2 with Bergkamp playing behind him. Yes, Bergkamp played behind him, but I mean they kind of morphed it though, because if you think of Freddie Ljungberg as well, like Ljungberg played on the right side, obviously in that 4 in the midfield, but he pushed up quite high, and then therefore again it kind of shifted where Bergkamp was in the center, and then Henry was on the left, and then obviously when Bergkamp left, Henry kind of pushed into that area. But when you talk to people, I think they still classify Henry as a left winger. Sorry, here, let's see now for Henry. And I guess Google's not always going to tell me. Considered left winger in Premier League. I just want to see what Google says here. Yes, Thierry Henry was indeed considered a left winger in the Premier League, particularly in the early part of his career with Arsenal. While he ultimately became renowned for his striker role, his initial role under Arsene Wenger was on the left wing, where his pace and dribbling skills were utilized. Wenger recognized Henry's potential as a striker, but initially deployed him on the wing to exploit his ability and beat fullbacks. That's Google. So again, not that I'm saying Google is the trump card or anything, but like I said, when he first played at Arsenal, he was definitely on the left wing. Like when he put Jamie Carragher on skates, that's all from the left wing. Let me see here. Sorry, we're looking. I want Manuel Neuer to come to MLS. He is my idol. I was a goalie for years. He inspires me. I mean, Manuel Neuer. I can't see him going to MLS. I feel like he's going to retire at Bayern Munich. I can't see him going anywhere else. Like when you think of Manuel Neuer, you just think of Bayern Munich. Or you think of Bayern Munich, you think of Manuel Neuer. And I mean, I'm older, so I think of Ali Khan as well. But Neuer just makes sense that he's going to probably retire there. And it's a shame because, yeah, it would be nice to see him in MLS, but I don't think the way he plays, his type of style, I don't think would suit an MLS team. Not that I don't think MLS players can score from ridiculous ranges, but he's been getting where it's kind of getting to the point that he's not as quick as he used to be. He's making some of those errors. I even think last year RB Leipzig scored like a ridiculously long goal against him, and the pace just fully isn't there anymore. And then maybe that's because of the injury he picked up 3 years ago when he broke his leg skiing. Henry Michael was 100% a striker. I think people think he's a winger because he drifted wide to the find. Again, I'm just saying what I searched up and watching Henry play for the most part. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize it's like 11:30. Holy, I might need to go to bed here shortly. That's probably why I'm so ridiculously tired here. As a City fan, I pray Grealish stays. His news status. Grealish is a good player too. So I didn't realize how late it was. I'm gonna be hopping off. I apologize because like I kept rubbing my eyes and not realizing how late it is. So anyone that came in, thanks for hanging out for the time being. If you came on YouTube, thanks for coming in as well. Yeah, we might do another live tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow, but we will do commentating for Chelsea's match on Sunday against AC Milan, and we're also having a draft next Wednesday. So just giving you a heads up for the most part. So I'll see you guys in the next one.